But I remember me and my wife, we were riding a motorcycle at the time. I had a street bike, and we'd get it out on the weekends once in a while and ride, and we were on that. And riding home, it's the 4th of July, so every redneck in Bradley County's out shooting some fireworks. And when I say redneck, I mean everybody on the 4th of July. Every now and then on a motorcycle, you catch smells. I don't know if you know that, but you can smell things on a motorcycle. You don't in a car, but we'd catch a smell.
Is it kind of like when I'm riding my bike?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, just checking.
We'd catch a smell of some fireworks, and I just get sick at my stomach. Just sick, like it impacted me physically somehow. And I don't fool with fireworks. I said all that to say, I don't do fireworks.
You still catch that smell and get sick?
I can't testify to that in recent years, but for several years afterwards, yeah, for sure. Man, that's downright mindful.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We just become best friends. Yep.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I don't need backups. I'm going to Harvard.
Remember these words. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I still have a dream.
Welcome to Downright Mindful, a meeting place where we explore meaning, seek connections, and examine the relationships between people, events, and the ideas that shape our world. Hosted by me, Matt Paris, my friend and colleague Paul Sawswell. Each episode will dive into thoughtful conversations that spark reflection and curiosity. Thanks for joining us. Now let's get right down to it. Yeah, man, we're good. We're hot as a firecracker, Paul.
February firecracker.
A February firecracker, for sure.
We live in Tennessee. You can get firecrackers in February.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
I don't know enough about business, the economy. I drive by these year-round fireworks stores, and I'm like, man, how do they...
They're laundering money, buddy.
Yeah, is that what that is? Is that what that is?
It's gotta be. I mean, I don't know. Yes. No. But it's fun to think about.
Yeah.
How is that a good business plan?
Anybody buying fireworks for like Valentine's Day?
Somebody is. For sure.
Do
I know someone? No.
I don't either.
Be fun. New traditions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? The old Paris Sawsville Valentine's celebration.
Heck yeah.
The ladies would love it.
All the way in.
Probably not. This is probably not a good business plan either.
No, man. Listen, my brother one time, he, you know about the fireworks up at Rogers Creek on the Hiawassee?
Nope.
There's a guy, I don't know if he still does it or not, but he used to pull a 40-foot pontoon out in the middle of Rogers Creek and put on a pretty dang good fireworks show every 4th of July. We knew some people that had a cabin up there, and we spent some time up there, like a lot of my family. Well, this guy recruits my brother one time. Hey, come out here and help me set off these fireworks. So they go out there, and it's pretty well known. There's boats everywhere. I mean, this pontoon will get out in the middle of Rogers Creek, which is just a big, it's almost like a slough, but it's big. It's a big area of water just off the main channel. And boats will huddle up around that thing everywhere. Just like, looks like a big parking lot of boats. Pretty well known you don't come through there throwing a wake during that time because you don't want to get those boats rocking. It's just disrespectful. So, they're just getting started, and here comes a boat and just sweeps a big circle around the whole thing. Kind of gets some boats rocking.
Why do I feel like I know this story? Have you told me this story before?
I'm sure I have.
It's going to end in disaster.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, disaster.
Keep going.
So, this this was supposed to be, I don't remember the times now. He had enough fireworks on that boat to go for a while. I mean, this is a legit little fireworks show.
You got to date this, though. I mean, like, what are we talking about? 2010, 2000, 1990?
Nah, somewhere in 2010, somewhere between 2008 and 2012, I would say is a pretty safe range. It made the news. So he has enough fireworks on this boat to go for a pretty good little bit. And probably due to that boat coming through there throwing a wake, a firework shoots off in the wrong direction and then ignites some fireworks on the boat. And this whole thing goes up on this boat in 90 seconds. And it's literally just a ball of fire.
And you're seeing all this?
Yes. Me and everybody else in, northern Bradley, southern McMinn County is seemingly out here at Rogers Creek watching this fireworks show. And my systematic nervous system is so peaked because looking at what I'm seeing before me, there's no shot anybody's alive on that boat. Not a chance.
Is your brother on this boat?
He's on the boat.
Okay.
So I go like everybody's running. It's pandemonium on the bank, 200 yards, 300 yards from this boat because it's a pretty good ways out in the body of water. But the bank is full of people. Anyways, it's pandemonium. People that have nobody on the boat are in tears and screaming because there's no way someone's on that boat not dead. So my first responder brain, even though my sensory nervous system's going crazy, I'm already scouring the crowd because I know some people up there. Well, Big Tom Anderson is who I'm looking for. That owns Big Tom's restaurant now.
Yeah.
He's got family up there. Our families were connected at the time, and I'm looking for him because I know.
Why? What's he going to do?
Well, I know he has a boat on the slip right there, 100 yards from where I'm at. And I know Tom well enough to know he's headed to that boat. So I find him running through the crowd and I start timing my run.
It's like a movie scene.
It's like a movie scene. As we get to the dock, he says, "Come on." And so we jump on the boat. I'm on the nose of Tom's boat as we meander through everybody. And the boat's still on fire. Okay. There's fires all over this 40-foot pontoon. So I jump off the nose of Tommy's boat onto that pontoon boat and I start kicking boxes and fire off into the water. And the man, I can't remember the man's name, Jerry something. I don't know. He's still on the boat. And I'm like, where's Nick at? It's my brother. And he's like, I don't know. And my brother's nowhere to be found.
Okay, hold on. You have to place Jerry somewhere on this boat so I can at least envision how he has survived, how he's not being shot.
Well, all I can give you about that is hindsight.
Okay.
There's like a bathroom stall kind of thing. I don't know that it's a good bathroom, but there's at least a little closet on that boat, and he sought shelter in that closet. And hindsight will tell you Nick bailed. Nick's in the water. I don't learn until later. So me and Jerry and Tom, we kick all this fire off, and I ride this 40-foot pontoon right back to the boat dock, just 100 yards away or something. And as I get there, man, I tell this story sometimes. I feel like Jesus crossing the Red Sea. I'm coming into probably
pause. Jesus didn't cross the Red Sea.
Oh, not the Red Sea. Where'd he cross?
I mean, do you want him to cross like the Sea of Galilee?
I don't care.
Or do you want Moses to split the water?
No.
Okay.
No. There's people gathered on the bank where this boat is coming to. And
they're singing hallelujah. They're singing your praises because you're a hero.
Yeah. Well, they really probably want to see if Jerry's okay because they all know Jerry.
Yeah. Jerry
owns the property up there. But I'm on the nose of the boat and they start hitting me with questions. Where's this person? Who's that? What happened? Who's what? And I'm like, guys, I don't know.
You still haven't found Nick?
Somewhere in the mess, a boat pulls up and it's got Nick on it. And Nick can't hear a word you say. Nick's deaf. Nick lost his hearing for a couple of days. But I remember me and my wife, we were riding a motorcycle at the time. I had a street bike and we'd get it out on the weekends once in a while and ride. And we were on that and riding home, it's the 4th of July. So every redneck in Bradley County is out shooting some fireworks. And when I say redneck, I mean everybody on the 4th of July. every now and then on a motorcycle, you catch smells. I don't know if you know that, but you can smell things on a motorcycle and you don't in a car, but we'd catch a smell.
Is it kind of like when I'm riding my bike?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, just checking.
We'd catch a smell of some fireworks and I just get sick at my stomach. Just sick. Like it impacted me physically somehow. And I don't fool with fireworks. I said all that to say, I don't do fireworks.
You still catch that smell and get sick?
I can't testify to that in recent years, but for several years afterwards, yeah, for sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how I got in that story, but there it is.
Something about February fireworks. The mic is hot as a firecracker. Is how we started all that.
That's right. We're hot as a firecracker.
That's so funny. Let's hop right in. Give me a list of all the things you can think of. Minimum 4. You know how I do this. So if you get stuck, I'm just going to stare.
I should have brought a thesaurus with me.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Or an imagination. Either one.
Okay, I'll try that one. I said Jesus crossed the Red Sea, so I got an imagination.
He was there with Moses.
Was it the Dead Sea?
No, I mean, pick a character. Is it Jesus or is it Moses?
In my mind, it was Jesus. Get going. Get to your...
Bible stories. Layers. Give me some things in real life that are layers. Has layers. Has any layers. Has a couple layers. Has a bunch of layers. Give me something.
Layers.
Yeah, is anything that has layers.
Okay. Can I start with an onion?
Yes.
Okay.
Ding.
Because that's the first thing that comes to mind, and that's usually associated with a problem or a person. Am I off on that?
Oh, that's your personal interpretation and use of that metaphor. You can. What else you got? Layers.
Yeah, a story.
Stories have layers. Yeah,
stories have layers.
Good ones do. Good ones. Yeah. What else?
How about a lesson? Can that be one of my? That's 5, isn't it?
No, it's 3. Okay.
No, it is not 3.
But how about like in the real world? Okay, so you went lessons. Okay, I get it. You went stories. Okay, I get it. But an onion, like that's a real thing. Like you can peel a layer off and you can peel another layer. And like you can physically peel. What else has layers?
Sure. How about a discussion?
I just said, get away from the lessons. Give me something real, man.
Give you something real that has layers.
See, you're doing this. I didn't think this was going to be hard. Even when you laugh,
hard, man. My brain
is not.
Listen, my brain.
Oh, you're going to go with 5 o'clock brain again.
Doesn't go to the normal places that maybe other people's brain might go.
I already knew that. So this is why this is so much fun.
I'm not claiming that as a strength. Am I only talking about layers? LAYERS?
Or what? What's the other layers?
Layers.
Like a dragon layer?
A dragon layer. Yeah.
Just give me something in the physical realm that has layers.
A Big Mac.
Has layers. There's no good reason for that middle bun. None. 0. The Big Mac is all about the sauce. It's not about the extra bun.
Well, I can't. When did a Big... Listen, I have to imagine that the Big Mac was released at some point where McDonald's patties were a different thing, mimicking more like a real hamburger. Is that the truth, or
it was thicker? Is that what you're
just
saying?
a dream? Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. McDonald's was just better when we were kids. The 80s McDonald's had to have been just, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. What else has layers in the physical realm?
Layers in the physical realm. I mean, everything has layers. Okay.
The earth has layers.
That chair that you're sitting on has layers.
Okay. I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. The earth, you're in 6th grade science. Sarah would be proud.
Yeah.
So the earth, yes, it has layers all the way down to the core.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Yeah.
This chair has layers.
Yeah.
How about something like a
two
cake?
Shirts on right now.
Oh, you dressed in layers. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. A cake.
A cake. Yeah. They're right. Yeah. Certain cakes have layers.
A lasagna.
For sure.
See, I was just making sure that,
For sure.
Give me one more.
Give
just for fun.
One more thing that has layers.
In the physical realm.
You can go down here to the beauty salon if you have enough hair, and they will layer your hair. They will cut it into layers.
Okay.
And dogs, ducks, these have layered fur and layered feathers.
Yeah. There you go. You've played this well. Good job. Now you have to be one of these. You have to pick one of the things that you just said, and you have to be that in this. So are you an onion? Are you a lasagna? Are you...
I'm a layered feller, like an onion.
Like an ogre? We never even got to ogre. We didn't even mention the Shrek. Onions and ogres. They got layers. Okay. Yeah. But you gotta be something right now for the purpose of this continuing. Are you at the beauty shop right now?
No. Okay. No, I don't really care about the layered hair. Let's just go back to square one, and I'll be an onion.
Okay. Oof. Okay. How many layers are in an onion?
Do you know the answer to this?
No.
Is there an answer to this?
I didn't know which one you were going to pick.
Or are they like trees? Is it just different?
Trees have a reason why they have rings.
Yeah.
Right? The years, right? Yeah. That's how that goes. I don't know how an onion gets all, just how long it was. Onions are in the ground, right?
Yeah. I would say, let's say I took just an onion the size of my fist. That's a pretty big onion, even though I don't have the biggest hands. Let's just say your normal onion. Yeah. I'm going to make a guess that it's somewhere between, 5 and 8 layers.
I was going to say at least 20.
You think? Maybe it is.
Look how thin those layers are.
Yeah, and it goes all the way to the core.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. It goes to that little...
Are you that layered? You have 20 layers to Matt Paris?
I don't know if that's true.
Because if you pick an onion, I'm going to have to say, hey, you got to give me 20. This would be a 6-hour recording.
All right, never mind. I'm this T-shirt. I'm my 2 shirts. I got 2 shirts on. I'm a shirt.
2 shirt minimum. Okay. All right, watch this. Here's the question.
Okay.
And we were going to go with match the number, but we can't go 20. But we'll start minimum 2. You with me?
Okay.
Minimum 2.
Okay.
All right, you have to answer this question in at least 2 different ways. Okay. Can't deflect. Can't do any Matt Paris.
Mm-hmm.
No Matt Paris deflections.
Wait. What do you mean I can't do any Matt Paris?
Because you like to deflect. I'm about to ask this question and you're gonna shoo it away. Watch what happens. But you won't because I set it up really well just now.
Man, that's a whole different discussion.
I know.
Okay, keep going.
2 things you're good at.
2 things I'm good at.
Mm-hmm. 2 things. Answer that.
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind and the only thing that I will stand on that I'm good at is if I'm trying to put it into a word.
I really thought you were going to give it to me that quick, but you're Matt Paris in this thing.
I am, but I don't know if I want to say dependability or if there's another word, but at its most basic form, if I say, hey, I'll see you at 5:00 tomorrow, you can almost set your clock that you'll see me at 5:00 or a few minutes before. Or if you don't, you will have received communication from me ahead of time saying, hey, this is what I'm up against.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. You can give me something else.
I am good at...
Man, if I ask 8 people who know you, they've already given 3 things off the top of their head with no hesitation whatsoever.
Well,
this is kind of the point of this exercise. So you're doing great.
You ask me what
my expectations are being met.
Ask me what you're good at, and I'm more than comfortable to say things that I believe I'm good at.
But that's not what this activity is.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so you're dependable, and
I am good at. Did you plan?
Your mama has already listed. She's at 14 right now.
Yeah, I know that, but she's my mama.
Yeah, because she knows some stuff.
Yeah,
she ain't lying. No.
I am good at. Man, I'll be honest with you. When we start talking about things that we do, verbs, actions I can take, I don't know if I will get to the point where I'll say I'm good at anything, but I'm pretty decent at a lot of things.
That I knew you would say.
Is that deflection?
It is. Own it, because you, in your roles in life,
Yeah.
the lady that lives underneath this roof, the young fella who's now a man, your role as a teacher, your role as a encourager, your role as a, as a coach, as a, you don't let people get away with not owning their skill set. And then you're like, all right, let's get better at it. Okay. So you're good at some stuff, Matt Paris. And watch what this sentence, we're working with this so far. And look, I'm not surprised by this. I'm good at dependability. That's not even a real sentence. That's not even a thing.
You heard me searching for a word. I'm not.
So another one, go.
I'm not the most articulate.
We're going to struggle through this. I don't care. I don't mind one bit. What are you good at?
I am good at Paul, this is the most uncomfortable spot that you could put me. Is this you injecting tension into the room?
No, remember, we were going to get to 20 because you picked onion. Well, so now we're at 2 because you have 2 T-shirts on.
That was a blind pick.
No, I just tried to keep you in the physical realm. And so here you are. And what are you good at? Because I'm not throwing anything your way until you own something.
I am good at. All right. This is cheap. I feel like even though I am not as experienced or educated, I feel like I could pull my lawnmower up next to a professional and attack someone's lawn and maybe do it better than that professional.
Okay. Say all that one more time without the preface and the maybe. Just say it one more time. Come on.
I can mow a yard.
Yeah, there you go.
I can clean up a space and, you give me some time and the supplies and I'll make that yard look like something.
I'm sure you could. I've seen you at work.
Yeah, I've never.
We volunteered some work. Yeah. Okay, now look, that's in the physical realm.
Yeah.
So your dependability one, sorry, buddy. It just got lifted and put over here to the side. So now you got to give me another one besides mowing lawns. I have
to show up.
You got to the lawn so easy just now. So pull another one, even though you said, I don't even know what you said. This is like I don't even know what word you just used. All right, keep going. What else you good at?
I'm good at, I think I can make a better hamburger than you.
Yeah, I've had your smash burger. It's a good one.
Yeah, I
think. Okay.
Let me say that.
I don't want you to say anything else. I just want to just like sit and just think about how long it took for us to get to those 2 things.
Can I broaden that and just say, if I choose to nerd out on something?
Yes, whatever you set your mind to.
I can become.
I am sitting in this space right now with a bunch of buttons, and each one of those buttons you have figured out because you have said it. And we are doing this podcast because you decided to get good at it. You're not going to claim to be good, but we have literally people listening to us right now because you got good at something you set your mind to. So you don't have to call your podcast good, but you have to at least admit you figured out quality when it comes to setting up a podcast, and we get to we can push record and make something. True?
Not false.
Okay. You play guitar.
I'm getting good.
I'm rolling.
I'm getting good.
You playing the guitar. Okay. Yes. You're not going to call yourself good.
No, never.
But because you're better than so many other people, so many of us in your space get to go, dang, man, that's great. And you'll deflect, and we'll still get to keep our feeling, our knowing,
sure.
Our experience.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Did you even listen to last week's episode? The intro was fantastic because it set up the whole thing, and I hope people got to that part where you asked me a question and I said probable cause, and you said nope. And then we went into this whole explanation of, man, SROs, administration in schools, Supreme Courts, the process, this state and how it's unique of its approach. Like, you're good at getting people to the place of understanding something, and you set it up really well. We had a good conversation last week. I learned something. I got to take some of my previous knowledge and you added to it. If there's any value in this podcast, it's when we do stuff like that. Mm-hmm. When one of us comes with like this much knowledge and the other one comes with more knowledge, and we make some connections. That's fun. You and I love that. I mean, like, if you're going to say nerd out, and you're good at creating those situations. So, hey, you can mow, you can make a smash burger. You even tried to call it a hamburger, but come on, man. You don't ever invite Sarah and I over and say, hey, let's have some hamburgers. You always say smash burgers every single time.
I love them.
Yeah, man. Now, I just mentioned 4 things. So you can stick with mowing if you want to, because I feel like there's something there. And you can pick the guitar if you want to. You can't pick dependability, but you can pick podcast. You can pick, but I really want to peel some layers off of that just for fun. Like, pick one of those. Like, how'd you get good? Like mowing, why is that a thing? Like, I still hate mowing, but I'll mow it. And I love looking and going, man, those lines look good. And then my next thought is, they'll be gone in 3 days. That was a complete waste of my time, but I got to do it. But like, you even said, I'll put myself up to a professional. Who says stuff like that? Okay. So no matter what direction you go, guitar, that would be fun. How in the world did you get good at that? Singing, man, it's in your blood. You talk about it all the time with your family. Even what you're creating with the podcast on your own, which I wish you would release more to the people. So this is me encouraging you to do that on a real live microphone. Pick one. Just tell me more. People connected to that, how you got interested in that, your first glimpse of that. Give me something.
You pick one.
No.
Because
No.
Okay, so I said mowing, smash burgers.
I said guitar. I said singing. I said podcasting. I said you connecting previous learning of people. It's called teaching, but you make it a process that people get invited in, and then there's mutual engagement. Yeah, man, you're good at that stuff. If you weren't, you wouldn't be getting kids ready to. Oh no, whoa! They just tell me about your kids at the region.
Yeah.
Tell us about those.
Skills USA.
Yeah.
It's an international club now. It's mostly known as a nationwide club for high schoolers, and it's in Tennessee there'll be 110 competitions where students can take skills that they're learning in the classroom and put them to a practicum and compete against their peers from across the state and then across the nation. So we just got done with a regional competition. It's for crime scene investigation. And it's such a popular contest at the state level that you have to do a regional. So there's not, 40 teams shows up at state, because logistically you just can't make that happen. So we go to the East Tennessee Regional in Harriman last week, and we won our region to go on to state.
How many groups were competing? How many schools?
We had 4 show up for a region this year. We had 2 schools that the reports to me were that they graduated people and just weren't able to put it together. I know at least one of those advisors is a basketball coach, and this time of year is tough for basketball coaches. And but our region is tough when it comes to CSI. Like we got Clinton, Anderson County, and Sevier County. All 3 of those are people that we typically compete against at state, and they typically place pretty high. But since we went back to a region for the last 2 years, you have to go and you have to place top 2 to advance. But we've been back to a region, and that was busted up by COVID. Just everybody went to state for a while, but teams started getting back on board and the numbers got high enough. The last 2 years we've had to go to a region, and we've won that region both times.
You have anything to do with that?
I mean, yeah, I'd be crazy to say I don't.
You practice with them?
weekly.
Putting in extra time.
Yeah, in the spring, like spring semester, we practice once a week outside of school.
You are giving them opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's really cool. And I mean, that's the learning that we desire. You know, we teach public high school students who, you know, man, they have to be there, which means so many times there's enough reasons not to want to be there. Yeah. And so our challenge is to invite them in and go, hey, can you see what's going on? This might be actual authentic learning. Try it out. Yeah. And we get kids that go, hey, can I do more of that? And you're doing that with Skills USA.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And because they listen sometimes, I want to shout them out. Is that okay?
Please.
Kid of mine named Zayden Francis. One of the sharpest kids you'll ever bump into. I've got a senior named Madeline Tucker. She's a cheerleader. She's going to go cheer at Austin P.
Of course she is.
On scholarship. And
senior night last night.
Sharp as could be. And I have a junior named Savannah Miller who is sharp as a tack. And this is her first year doing it. And she fell right in, jumped right in, man. I'd put her up against a lot of professionals to sketch a crime scene. And, you know, I've brought these people into contact with multiple investigators and people that are in the field doing this around the community. And all of those people would say, like, these kids are legit. They can do, you know, and I'll tell you the same way that I used to say this about Pee Wee football. Man, you win a lot of games when you pick your team. And those three kids right there are they're cream of the crop. They make it easy on a guy like me. So shout out to those guys. I'm proud of them.
So you've been on a crime scene.
Sure.
Let's get out of a simulation. Let's get out of a competition. You've been on a crime scene.
Sure.
Can you recall being there for the first time? Is there too many to count?
There's too many to count because they start at patrol. Yeah. You're a first responder and you start at the initial phase of that. You show up and things are a mess, and you even from the real times that I'm about to tell you about down to the Skills USA, you win the game by showing up and being able to take that mess and start sort of triaging it and getting it to a very manageable place.
Can you remember that first time?
I won't say I can remember
get as close
the first time.
Yeah,
because a crime scene could be something as simple as a domestic assault where everybody's
give us a couple. Give us
the first one that stands out to me was an accidental shooting down off of Spring Place Road. I was a patrol officer and I wasn't the first on scene. I was probably the second or third on scene. But that made it good for me in the fact that I had to, the first couple on scene really had some life-saving efforts they had to take. But I roll up and that's taken, and now I can start seeing the scene and, maintaining somewhat of some security. I start a log. I start taking down, the truck number off the fire truck and the ambulance, and I'm noting who's in there. And that's a big learning thing. Now you're doing that in a classroom. It's nothing. You just take a sheet of paper and, whoever comes in, I mark it down and mark the time. Whoever goes out, I mark that as well. But when everything's chaotic like that, and you're not going to stop a paramedic and be like, sorry, what's your name? You're go. If you've got to go, because there's someone in the scene that needs life-saving efforts right now. But somebody at some point has to say, like, this is a crime scene. It's very likely that somebody could lose their life here and there be some sort of criminal charges come from it. And right then, as soon as it can happen, somebody's got to start thinking, and this is me, you might as well be one of my level 3 criminal justice students. Somebody has to, as quickly as we can, start, and we begin with the end in mind, okay? That's the overarching theme here anytime I start teaching crime scene. I have to get my mind into that courtroom 2 years from now, where it's possible that an assailant or a defendant sits on trial in front of a jury, in front of the victim's mother, in front of the victim's family. And everything that has been done or not done on this investigation is going to be brought out into the light, shown in front of the world. And I want it to be known that I've done my best. And I know my job well enough that this person's not going to walk out of here in front of that person's family and everything because of me, because of something that I didn't do or something I was careless about. Now, that at times that happens just because that's the way things work out sometimes, but I don't want it to be from a place of carelessness or ignorance.
So that mode that you get in, I'm imagining you right now taking that same tone with these three as they prepare for competition. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, love it that they have found some success. No telling what they're going to get themselves into in the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's still just a simulation. So can you take me back to, that's part you and how you're wired. And I can even imagine you as a younger man. But I imagine, gosh, the skill set to arrive in such a place and really, like in our house, we love using the point guard vision. We use point guard vision for everything. You know, we're driving, we saw that, we missed it. You know, I mean, like, hey, good drive and point guard vision, right? I mean, dog comes out of nowhere. You know, she would have messed something up. She would have made us drop something, but now we miss it because we had point guard vision.
Yeah.
Coming up on the scene, man, you got to have some point guard vision. You got to see this whole landscape. Okay.
Yeah.
Who was your Matt Paris in the real world saying to you, hey, young fella, when you get here, you make sure 2 years down the road, right?
Yeah.
Who handed that to you? Can you talk to me about that person or people?
Yeah, I would name a couple names, and I've probably
it's usually never just one, is it?
No. I mean, Dwayne Scoggins' names comes right up.
I'm probably going to hear some names I've heard before in the months that we've been hanging out, right? But tell it again and put it in this context.
Dwayne Scoggins is one of those guys. He's, even as patrol officers in training, because essentially what you're doing is that patrol officer, you're having that point guard vision until the point guard gets there. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, you're the point guard in this analogy.
But you see what I'm saying?
You got 2 point guards.
Well, there's a criminal investigator coming.
Okay.
And they're going to put a case together because
I'm following you though.
Their vision is elevated more than yours. They've been to places you haven't been, and they've seen things you haven't seen. I'll be that guy in on property crimes.
But if you're first, man, I'm calling you the point guard. We don't have to use this for very long, but like then coach shows up. I mean, like coach has played, coach is here.
Mm-hmm.
Like as the first responder, like you are responsible. You can't just say, well, I'm just this younger guy. I'm just right. I mean, like, you are that guy. People need you to be that. Yeah. There's a guy named Jerry Rogers at the sheriff's office who was my patrol sergeant when I first went out to patrol. And he had been a detective in the past, and he's a detective. I don't know if he's a detective now, but when I was a detective, he was in criminal investigations, and he's just one of those guys. He's just, there's no telling what speed his brain will work at. He's one of those guys. He's kind of, he's a funny guy, but he kind of holds a lot of stuff close to his chest. So you don't really know what he's thinking sometimes, but he just hardly ever you ask him a question and he doesn't have an answer. And I'm not talking about I'll just make up something answer. He'll give you an answer and he'll cite his source. You know what I mean? He's just that knowledgeable of a dude. So that was cool to have him as a sergeant. And I'm sure somewhere on that scene I referred to, I'm sure he's in the background, and I'm sure he's there giving me advice and, pointing me in the right direction. But then you move to the Dwayne Scogginses and Kevin Whites of the world. Those guys are really some go-to sources in criminal investigations. And those are the people that sort of lay out this is how you should do this or that prior to the arrival of a criminal investigator, because they want to show up and that scene, certain things have been done or not been done on that scene to give them a really good foundation. Okay. If they show up and things haven't been done the way they want it, now they've got to get it done, so it's, if you know what they want and you learn from each of those, you're a whole lot better off to sort of set them up to win.
And then Zach, Zach held when I went to drug investigations, Zach had been there before. He was in property now, but he had been there before, and he was a guy that could always give me advice and kind of, he's a little further down the road than me, and he's one of the smartest dudes, I mean, he's a smart dude. And then from narcotics, I went to property, and Zach was still in property, and he's right across the hall from me and involved in, any little case that I needed help on. He's right there. He could tell you as much about my case as I could. He's just that guy. He had the brain capacity to do it because of the experience he had doing it.
Okay, so you mentioned all these guys. Can you reach one more? Like this family tree? Because you really are. You're raising up a next generation of folks.
Yeah.
So kind of a two-parter. Come back to this. Kids that you've had last 7 years.
Yeah.
If they had you as a junior or senior, I mean, they've been living life for 5 years. They could have graduated already and be in some profession. Mm-hmm. So mention those folks here in just a second. But can you go back even one more, like the granddaddies of these folks? So you mentioned all of these folks. Do you know any of the folks that were above them and mentored them and taught them? You know any of those names? You may not. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I do. As far as property crimes go, from a mindset position, I have to mention Steve Lawson. We've said before that he's an old property detective, and we jokingly say he'll step over a dead body to check a serial number on property, because stolen property is, and there's layers to that.
We've talked
to
about
that joke even, because he understands the criminal justice process so great that he knows that, stolen property is tied to narcotics, which is tied to persons crime. Like if someone steals your stuff, you're going to retaliate in that world. And, he don't like the idea of someone breaking into your home in Bradley County. He'll run them down with a flashlight if he has to. So yeah, he was our captain. He wasn't the sheriff when I was there. He was the captain over criminal investigations. And, he always had his, many times I'll be working property cases. Our office was right next door, and he would come in and, he's the boss of all three: narcotics, property, and persons. But he would come in my office and sit down and say, "Hey, what do you need? You need me to do something?" I was like, "That right there. That's all I need, man. You do that for me, and I'll go out here and fight this whole town for you if I have to." So he's one of those.
You get that feeling when you're with kids who really want to be there. Kids are really putting in the time. Do you get that sense of being a Steve Lawson, knowing that you're going to walk into a space and there's that Matt Paris, and he doesn't really need anything, but I'm going to make sure that he knows that I see him. It's a very powerful thing.
I don't know that I always recognize it in the moment.
Sure.
But I've had some little Easter eggs handed to me, those those end of the year little trinkets or notes or whatever that you get. Virginia Willis one time took hard stock. It's not a canvas, but it's not a card either. I still have it. It's very permanent. And she did a little painting of like some handcuffs, and in quotes she put "begin with the end in mind." And I saw her. She saw me, and we still laugh about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What is she doing now?
She is patrolling the streets of Bradley County. She has a biology degree from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, and she's on a path to be a forensic investigator. Now, whether it's for the sheriff's office here or not, we don't know. I know that, and God, listen to me spilling all her business, but if she don't go to the TBI or FBI, I would be shocked. I mean, because she's a very...
is she that ambitious?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
so that means she really hadn't changed since high school.
She never had any ambition to be a police officer. She wanted to go federal. So she went and got a biology degree, and she applied for the TBI and went and interviewed. They want to hire her, but they recommended, hey, why don't you go get some patrol experience and open a lot of doors for yourself. Paired, some patrol experience with this degree, and man, the sky's the limit as far as investigations go. So she's following the plan, man.
Yeah. You got some other folks?
Yeah. I mean, I got,
give me another 2 or 3.
Yeah. Chase, Virginia was on that, they were SkillsUSA state champions, got second in the nation in CSI.
Awesome.
And
wasn't that a Louisville trip for you? Wasn't that like your first or second year?
Yeah, that was at Louisville, and we got second in the nation out of 34 state winners.
Yeah, that's awesome.
34 state winners. We get second and never took one photograph. Their camera malfunctioned on them as they approached the scene. But I had a really high-speed kids, and Claire Townsend was on there, and she said, hey, Judge, this is what's going on, and we don't have another camera. Would you be willing to walk around with me and let me take my finger camera here and just articulate to you what photo I'm taking and why? And they were like, sure. And they got second place. They were sick the whole week because they thought for sure they've lost it. And anyways, they got second. But yeah, Chase Lawson was on that team. Last I knew, he was 6th in his class at Belmont Law in Nashville. And just, man, I'll brag on my kids all day.
Do it, man.
I won't brag on myself, but
that's what I'm here for. That's what other people are here for.
Yeah. Within the next few weeks, I will have 3 police officers out of the last 7 years, 3 police officers. And the last count I have 1 kid that's a lawyer and 6 more in law school right now. And it's not because of me, it's because they're great kids, but keeping them.
Whoa. Stop.
Yeah, sure.
It's and.
And.
It's not but, it's not or, it's just and, because that is the world that we navigate. And we get to be that for people in a moment, young. But they have a vision for their future. They are ambitious. They are skilled. They are motivated, which means their skill set will continue to develop. And, you use that phrase, the sky is the limit, because they have this combination of support. Like, there's probably a really good chance they come from a supportive family.
Sure.
Maybe not.
And
if we have that conversation, that gets us into like some Malcolm Gladwell, where he talks about, there's a whole lot of folks that have done a whole lot of things in the world and for the world, not because they had come through so much adversity in their life. Or no, not in spite of it, but because of it.
Because of it, yeah.
And because of it. It's very powerful. So could go either way because that's sport. But, at a particular time, at a particular place, with a particular opportunity. And that's what you're doing with folks, man. So, when you say stuff
Paul,
like that. Yeah.
What I just told you, that little stat I just gave you, the reason I can spit that out so easily is because I can now, the Chase Lawsons and the Virginias, they're inspiring generations. They don't even know it. And we may not see the evidence of it for a while, but this is stuff I'm telling my kids daily. I had a conversation with a kid today. Hey, what are you thinking? What do you think you want to do? This person's in college right now. Well, I'm still kind of thinking about law school, but I'm not sure. And I'm like, hey, and I'll spit this number out. And the whole spiel to them right now is, look, it comes down to a decision of what you want. What do you want to do? And you know how I am. I like to boil things down simply and say, all right, let's have this conversation with yourself. You're going to turn 25 years old one day with a law degree or without one. Which one of those do you want? And the only thing standing between you and having the law degree is, am I willing to put in that work? It's not the time. The time's going to pass either way. Or do you want to do that work? And it's just, hey, I've got 7 kids right now that have either been through or are in law school. And not one of them was like, I saw it in my classroom. Oh my gosh, this kid's special. Not that they're not special. They're all special to me. But they look just like you. Their work looked just like your work. Their questions sounded a lot like your questions. They're not that different. So I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Can't say I don't know. But you say I don't know because it's the habit you've created because you do know some stuff. And that's what the point of today was, man. I mean, that's a really, we've talked about before, like having some sort of call to action, as we get to the end of, some of these sessions. But it's for all of us. I mean, you're asking people a question. When you get to 25, time's going to pass. Yeah. So when you're 25, what do you want? For you, hey, at 45, Okay. For me at 50, you know, for anybody that's, I mean, pick a number. It doesn't matter what the number is, a year from now, 6 months from now.
That's right.
And when we start asking those questions, I mean, it's that simple, but it's also, and this is what I want to just, I guess, point out, the layers that we talk about are the ands.
Mm-hmm.
So someone comes into your life and they become this for you. And you have an opportunity at this time. And you have a friend to share it along at the exact same time. And this disaster happens. And so now you have to figure out personally whether you want to continue down this path or not. And more adversity will come, more obstacles will come, but more opportunities will come. And your character will continue to be developed through it. And it'll be strengthened through it. And you will struggle through it. And you will want to quit in the middle of it. And you will decide not to.
Yeah.
And then you land in this place and you get to be this thing for other people. It's my favorite part about the life that we live, man. It's my favorite part because it makes our life, gosh, man, so hard because we're connected to people and we're journeying along with people who are making decisions for themselves at the exact same time that we're making decisions for ourselves. For themselves is what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
They're making decisions for themselves while we're making decisions for ourselves. Will we stay on the journey, in the journey with that person? Will they stay with us? Like, we're connected to so many people. And man, sometimes, gosh, you see it in the moment, but most of the time you don't know how it's going to work out.
Yeah.
So it's just the next and now what am I going to do? And now how am I going to approach this? And now how am I going to embrace tomorrow, even though today was this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's where I wanted to go with this. And here's the last one for the day.
Okay.
So you are being this for other people. Other people have been that for you. What was your first glimpse? And not just a police officer. I'm talking about being a detective. What was the first glimpse? And maybe this is, you were a curious kid as an 8-year-old. I don't know. Maybe it's something somewhere else in the middle. What was your first glimpse of you being a detective one day? And then being a teacher in this same realm. What do you think it was for you personally? You know, think about what your mama might say, really. Think about what, Valerie might say. Think about what your family, your friends when you were, what would they say? Because for a guy like you, I want you to answer this question and not be like, well, I don't know. But there is usually something for all of us that it was like, I got up on a stage one time, right? Or I went to this on a field trip one time, or I had this one teacher this one time. Like, what was it for you that you could probably look back and go, on my storyline, that's probably the genesis of me becoming a detective?
I don't know. It's not, I never had a vision of like, I'm going to be a detective one day. That's not how it happened. But I will say, when I was a kid, I lived at Johnson Woods. You knew that.
Yeah, that sounds so much fun.
Dad worked there. We lived on site. And it was all the time we would have, a sheriff's car would roll through there. And there's nobody out there. And sometimes those guys would just stop and say, hey, how's it going? And we just sit there and chew the fat. They'd be talking to some kid, just good old boys. And, I can't even tell you who it would have been. I'm sure Dean Anderson was one of them at some point.
You think so?
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. But they piqued my interest in the idea of police work. And, I even took a criminal justice class in high school with Greg Kersey, and still wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go be the police. I want to. But I still had that like, maybe kind of thing. And then when I was singing gospel music, I was in a quartet with my brother-in-law, and we went to this church called, I want to say it was called like Paint Rock something. up in the Knoxville area. Well, the pastor was a real cool guy, and he had a flat top haircut, and he'd come out to the little bus we had, and he would chew the fat with us, just talk. And we got to talking, and he was a sheriff's deputy, and he was on like a meth task force in that area. But he was on the weekends, he was the pastor of Paint Rock Church. And I don't know his name. I've never seen him again, but he just something clicked in that conversation. And I had mentioned pursuing a police career to Valerie before. And I'm trying to figure it out. Like I went to real estate school. I did all kinds of stuff and just really didn't know what I was going to do. And after that conversation, I was like, Val, she hated the idea at first. But after that conversation, I talked to her and I'm like, hey, I think I might really want to try to do something like this. I don't even know where to start at this point or what to do, but God, just talking to that dude just fired me up. So over the next few months, I talked to some folks and put in some applications here and there. And Dan Gilly took a chance on me. I was 20 and Dan Gilly hired me. He said, hey, you young, why don't you come work in the jail for a little while and get a little experience and then see what happens. And listen, I'm that guy. I get my foot in the door. We'll figure something out. That's how it started. And after that, it was just the old poor man's adage that my granddad gave me. You just put your nose to the grindstone and work and do things as right as you can. And eventually you'll look up and good things will happen to you. Now, I don't know if that's real, but I've found it to be mostly true.
I think it kind of is, buddy, because we need the Dan Gillies who can literally give opportunities to us.
Yeah.
And I think we can be a Dan Gilly because I think we can give opportunities to other folks. But I think we also need some paint rock preachers who at seeming random, and I don't really believe much in coincidence, maybe a little bit in coincidence, but I believe that, we can also be a paint rock preacher to people and just whatever moment we're in and whatever people we're with, just to be just that true, authentic self that just engages.
Yeah.
And that brings us all the way back to just the gospel message, man, in Christ and how many times he just lingered. He was a paint rock preacher and just spoke into people. And I bet there's plenty of people. We may not see it in the scriptures. There's that one that says, if everything was told about Christ and there's be all these books, right? It'd fill the whole earth. There's got to be some stories where someone walked away and goes, I have no idea who that is, but he just changed my life. Right.
Yeah.
You can't remember that guy's name, but there's a point where it's like, man, gosh, I wish I could remember that guy's name, but that was such a pivotal moment in my life to where I now could recognize an opportunity from Dan Gilly because something was sparked. Yeah. And now, Gilly gives you the torch and you get to be fast forward in 2025, giving a shout out to 3 kids who have won a region and are going to go on to a state and they can still be inspired by other folks who have already traveled this path through Walker Valley and through your classroom and in your life. But, it's never really, once we make connections, they're not out of our life. It's kind of see you later. It's not a goodbye. So
when I was, when I coached one of Kyler's first football teams, I couldn't come up with all right, by the end of this little kid football season, what do I want? Because wins just seem so cheap for 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds. Now, we did win. I ain't going to lie. I told Valerie.
Because you picked your team.
Yes. You
said that earlier.
Yeah, you pick
I get it.
Guys, if you're going to coach Pee Wee football, everybody that looks like a fullback, pick that kid. Pick good kids. Anyways, but I did have a few kids that didn't look like fullbacks and you had to help them out and they struggled. And so I told my wife, I said, what is my goal for those kids? And it was as simple as, I hope that because of this year, they have so much fun that they sign up next year. Yeah. Because it's going to take more than me between 7 and 8 years old in high school, if you want to help a kid become a high school football player, because he's at least had that vision when he signed up for 8-year-old football, it's going to take more than me to get that done. And I've at least got to pave some pathway to get him. I don't want him to have such a miserable experience as a 7 and 8-year-old for the sake of winning that he hates it and he don't want to sign up next year.
Yeah.
And that same thought process applies to Maddie, Zayden, and Savannah.
Yeah.
It's going to take more than me. Zayden wants to be a lawyer. And if anybody on this planet could be a lawyer, it's Zayden Francis. Maddie Tucker wants to be a lawyer. If anybody on this planet could be a lawyer, it's Maddie Tucker. It's going to take more than me to get them there.
Yeah.
But I feel like I help facilitate a good enough experience to make them want to reach out to that next place.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. That's what this was.
It's good talk.
Mm-hmm.
Close us up, buddy.
That's how I just did. I just did.
That was your mic drop. You should have, yeah.
Yeah. I won't break your stuff.
Yeah, man, that was fun. So you're not going to ask me anything about mowing?
I am not returning back to any of
You're not going to mowing strategies? You don't want to know about a crosshatch pattern or
no,
nothing?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I'm just going to get my push mower and get it done.
Are you listening to anything when you mow?
Of course.
Okay. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, of course.
Some people, they just want to hear the buzz and just be in their thoughts,
No. Pause that because we'll go deep. Like that would be a fun conversation. When you're driving, what are you listening to? When you're mowing, what are you listening to? When you're walking, what are you listening to? When you're, writing, what are you listening to? We'll go there.
Yeah, let's
pause
there.
this one.
Yeah. Let's just say next week.
Okay.
Let's just make a commitment right now. I'm driving next week. We'll go there because I've been having these thoughts.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Like, share, comment, do all those things. Appreciate you very much. Last word, Paul.
Peace. Blessings.
Man, that's downright mindful. You've been listening to Downright Mindful with your hosts, Matt Paris and Paul Salzville. Produced by Josh Morris. Intro and outro production by Derek Kinsey. You can find us wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.